We have got the F1 Manager Sim League round 10 at Hungary. So yeah, that's self-explanatory. Give me 2 sets and then I will be with you lot, where I will run through the grid. You can have a look at top 10 while I quickly post the race link into my YouTube chat. No, not my YouTube chat, my Discord chat. Okay, there we go. So, pole position here today is Lando Norris with Valtteri Bottas starting up alongside him. For the second race in a row, Valtteri has started in top 6. I think it's actually more than that. No, it's only the last 2 races. In Austria he was 8th. Leclerc, 3rd place. He's really shown good quality form again, showing that the Red Bull is very much back, as Terry Porsche lines up 4th with Sergio Perez 5th, Max Verstappen 6th, George Russell down in 7th. He's the new championship leader as of Silverstone, where he went from P16 to win at his home GP. Andrea Kimi Antonelli in 8th for the second Haas car. Fernando Alonso 9th. Carlos Sainz in 10th with Lewis Hamilton 11th. Liam Lawson 12th. Franco Colapinto 13th. 14th is Pierre Gasly with Yuki Tsunoda lining up alongside him in 15th. Alexander Albon 16th with Ricciardo 17th. Oliver Behrman the Aston 18th. 19th is Zach Hadjar, and then Oscar Piastri failed to set a time here in Hungary after crashing out in quali. He starts last. Anyways, let's get into all the action, shall we? You have 3 races today because I missed one of the scheduled. This is yesterday.
As we head into the race.
One now, one at about 5, half 5.
Many people
then
here and at home
are
wondering what the. And here we go with the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Very colourful. You've got the F1 Manager symbol covering up
and it's lights
the
out,
most part.
and away we go.
As let's quickly retire my 2 cars. And now we can say away we go here. Lando Norris, he gets a good start. So does Leclerc. Leclerc moves to the inside to try and fight the V-carb. Goes around the outside for turn 1, as is the Red Bull lead. Into turn 2, will Norris fight back? No, he won't. Instead, he will pace it back a bit, as Charles Leclerc really racy on this start. As you can see back there, Liam Lawson trying to fight Yuki Tsunoda. As now, Leclerc runs away with this lead quite early on. Russell trying to find a way past the Sauber of Max Verstappen. Hamilton already up 2 places from his 11th place start here, as Lawson struggling to hang on against the Mercedes. Round the outside he goes. He's covered off though. Pierre Gasly has got him to fight back. Lawson drag race with the Mercedes. Gasly just better traction on the exit, able to get the move done, as now down the hill we go. Bottas chasing after Norris into the middle sector. Charles Leclerc already leading by quite a momentous amount. It looks almost certain he's going to lead the most part of this race here in Hungary. As V-carb, I still think is the quickest car. It's 10 races in, they've probably been the quickest car since Shanghai. Yes, we've seen Ferrari really perk up and win a lot more of the recent races, but in terms of quality, it's consistently the V-carb. As talking about them, they are now leading this race. Lando Norris overtakes Leclerc into turn 1. Leclerc tries to fight back in turn 2 but failed to do so. As you can see there, Terry Porsche having a look. He's down the inside and round the outside for turn 5. Will he get it done? Yes, he will. Up into P4 goes the second V-carb. This is crucial for their fight against Ferrari, because Ferrari and Russell have both just taken the championship lead in drivers and constructors. And yeah, this is really an event to dictate the future, as Charles Leclerc to the inside of Lando Norris there Going to get a bit of squeeze by the V-Carb, but swiftly up into the lead once again goes the Red Bull. And now you can see Norris really close behind. But Porsche, he's dropped back behind Perez now. He's going to want to try and find a way past the Ferrari, as they are currently, if I'm right, 1 point apart in the... no, they're 3 points apart in the drivers. I've got some stats up on my monitor alongside this. But yeah. Now, anyways, lap 5. As Norris to the outside of Charles Leclerc, he gets moved on. But Porsche down the inside of Perez. Is he going to get past? Not at all. Perez just managing to get a better amount of traction there, as Russell now looking lively behind the V-Carb. Hamilton and Verstappen 7th and 8th here. As Hamilton to the inside, up into P7 he goes. Sauber looking a bit more lacklustre as of recent, as in the likes of Zandvoort they were gunning for podiums, and then Silverstone they looked off the pace. Verstappen started towards the back and Hamilton just struggled for the most part. And then yeah, here they're back to their usual. They had a really high peak in form, and then that kind of just dissipated as of recent races. As we've still got Leclerc tucked up right behind Lando Norris. These two, they are split by 40 points in this championship. We aren't far from halfway. We'll actually be halfway at the end of the amount of streams today. So yeah, that just shows how far, yet how far we are from the end, yet how close the title still is. As the gap between top two is literally just 3 points. Norris is bound to take the championship lead back here today if he wins. But if he doesn't, it's down to whether or not he finishes ahead of Russell and in the top 5. Like, if Russell's in top 5, he needs to finish ahead. If he's outside top 5, he needs at least 2 cars between him and Russell. But if he's 9th, he needs Russell to be out of the points just to drop it down. Hello to you, Rodrigo. As we can see now, Leclerc with DRS on Norris, Bottas on with DRS on Leclerc. Round the outside goes Leclerc, round the outside goes Porsche. Just how similar their moves are, but for completely different places. First and fourth they were for. As you can really see, Ferrari, despite looking like a really big powerhouse in Silverstone, they've dropped off here in Hungary. They aren't looking as quick in the race as they have been, and really are stuck behind Teo Porsche. As one thing to state, Lando Norris this weekend has got the biggest pole margin. The times of other races, I'd say roughly 5 to half 5 start for the second one, and then the third one 7 PM, or between 7 and quarter past the hour. So yeah, you do have 3 events, all formatted quite clearly, with at least half hour between each, so I can do what I need to do, go for a loo, have a drink, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's just joys of being a commentator. Kind of need to be everywhere at once. As now Norris, DRS, as we are officially 7th of the race down the inside he goes of Leclerc, gets the second dose of DRS, but he chooses not to use it, as it's probably just showing how difficult it is to overtake there. As Liam Lawson has dropped down to 19th, he's had a really poor race. Antonelli down in 14th from 8th on the grid here. So yeah, that just says quite a bit, but you can look at the compounds being used up and down the pecking order. Softs are for the top 3, then there's some medium scattered across, same with the hards. However, those starting a bit further back are on the hard compounds. Liam Lawson probably going to be pitting in the next lap, but there goes Norris down the inside, Verstappen into the pits. He's the first to stop here today. Bottas just losing the place to Sergio Perez now, who looks like he could have a say in the fight between Red Bull and VCarb up front. But so many times this season we have seen Norris and Leclerc fight out on track, just in the land of their own forbear, while they go for like the lead. We saw it in China, we saw it in Japan, and yeah, then we've seen it briefly in Silverstone, and then even here, as down the inside goes Norris. Bottas drops behind Teo Pourchaire now, as you can just see there, the second DRS zone not really being used by the drivers, as Norris all over the back of Charles Leclerc, Pourchaire all over the back of Sergio Perez, who may become Lando Norris quite soon, as Perez has a little glance there for the move. And now look at how close Perez and Pourchaire are to Norris, but Pourchaire looks to the outside, gets squeezed out, as now Leclerc has started to drop the ball. They might have been fighting on track, but they have been fighting off track, yeah. No, they haven't been fighting off track. Like, they fought numerous times on track, but the standings don't match. As I said earlier this race, 40 points split second and third. Second being Lando, third being Leclerc. But then only 3 points at the top between Russell and Norris. If Russell wants to keep the lead here, he has to either finish ahead of Norris, or if Norris is outside, or well, not outside top 5, outside the top 4, then Russell will have to be the place behind him in order to hang on the basis Norris has fastest lap. That way it'd go to count back. If Norris doesn't have fastest lap, it will be Russell who leads into the next race. As I believe it's Monza, then it's Spa. As there's Norris having a little defensive manoeuvre on Pourchaire, as Perez all over the back of Charles Leclerc now. Really looks like the pace has dissipated from the Ferrari. Not from the Ferrari, from the V-Carb, and kind of all gone into the Ferrari. As you can see there, the two V-Carbs fighting out on track, as Russell and Bottas both pit. It's an early stop for those, but it could be a stop which sees them win, as Sainz also joins them in the pit lane. We are here on lap 15 of 70, however. We've still got a very long range to go, and if I was like Russell, I'd be putting mediums on, try and go to about 35, then go hards to the end. He's instead on softs, so expect him to come in around lap 30 again, and that's going to be your main race here. As there's Norris defending Pourchaire in the slower speed corners now, into the pits goes Charles Leclerc. Immediate reaction to George Russell, who is currently stuck in some traffic. Pourchaire having a chance of overtaking Norris there, unable to do so. Norris gets a really good exit though. He's going to have a look at Perez. Perez stays ahead. He leads, as Leclerc clearly leads over George Russell. Max Verstappen has even undercut that Ferrari. And now it's really a DRS train at its finest. You've got a fairly off-pace car of Daniel Ricciardo and the Alpine leading it, and then you've got Valtteri Bottas, who I'd say probably is in the third best car on the grid, maybe given fourth best. And yeah, but Pierre Gasly into the pits he goes. Kind of gives Russell a bit more breathing space as he goes to the outside of Ricciardo. He's up into P8 now. He's 4 seconds off Charles Leclerc. If he starts pushing, he could catch him in a matter of laps, as Verstappen's made it 2 moves on Ricciardo in 2 corners. Will Bottas make it a 3rd move in 1 sector? No, he won't. Bottas, he's now got to get past almost immediately now, as every corner that goes by, he is losing valuable time, as Norris is into the pits. Where does he come out compared to his championship rival? However, out the final corner comes Charles Leclerc. It's clear that Norris will be behind Leclerc, but will he be behind Russell? Yes, yes he will. Russell takes the lead over the 2 championship rivals, as Yuki Tsunoda, fastest lap of the race to him, as Piastri makes a move for Hajar as he moves up into P15. Russell 2.5 off Charles Leclerc. He needs to catch before Perez pits ideally. But we've seen that Norris was only about a second or so off Perez. He pitted. He's a good 5 to 6 seconds off the lead of Leclerc. So Perez may want to react in a lap or so time as Norris has overtaken Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Bottas having a look at Max Verstappen there. Oliver Behrman fighting Colapinto with Piastri just behind him. Piastri really struggling in that Red Bull this season. He's got about, I'd say he's got over, no, he isn't even half of Leclerc's points here, showing a clear #1 dynamic. As into the pits goes Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso as Terry Pourchaire now takes the lead here. Charles Leclerc, he's in P3, catching Hamilton and Pourchaire. Well, Russell, he's hot on his heels, just a second between the two now. Leclerc kind of needs this win. It will be his 4th of the season, which will put him ahead of everyone else in this save. George Russell currently being 2nd in terms of wins, who's also got 3, but currently just unable to get moved on as Leclerc is going to get DRS on Lewis Hamilton, which will be ever so helpful. But has he actually got it? No, he hasn't. Yes, Yuki has pitted, if I'm right. As Hamilton now limping downfield, so is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Leclerc trying to fight back with Russell, unable to do so. Ricciardo mechanical fault. You can look at tyre wear now. Verstappen probably going to end up pitting in the next 7 or so laps, as he was the earliest to pit. There are quite a few drivers, well, by the looks of it, everyone but Pourchaire's pitted here, and out of those who have pitted, none of the tyres have gone beyond lap 22. So that says quite a bit about strategy here. If you want to stick the hards on, they're kind of useless, because those who started on them, they're already off him, and we haven't even got to the halfway stage, which you'd anticipate them to go here. But Perez, could he be adding another nail to Lando Norris's coffin here? As the Ferrari clearly better with strategy than the V-Carb, as they are really hanging Porsche out to dry on the hards. As Russell passed this lap round the outside of the V-Carb, he's going to be a whole pit stop behind and roughly P8 when he rejoins this race. We've seen quite a few times this season the strategy for that V-Carb, especially towards Pourchaire, hasn't been the best. As we saw in Monaco, they tried hanging him out, he got a puncture. In the earlier races this season, they really trying to gamble the one-stop, such as China, where he almost went on to win. Then he just dropped off because he had to pit again. So yeah, there's been many occasions this season where it's not came to him. As Pourchaire struggling to keep up with Russell. Leclerc is about 4 seconds off the Ferrari, as there's Norris round the outside of Perez to regain P4 here. And now one thing I kind of want to watch is this battle. We saw it in Silverstone. It was a Mercedes versus a Williams. The Williams won then. Today we've got the Mercedes leading. Will the Mercedes win? As you can see, Tsunoda on the soft, Sainz on hard, so Verstappen's in pit. That's what he is. As Sainz now DRS. He's gaining a bit, but not enough. To the inside he goes, up into P7 goes Carlos Sainz, but there's Yuki hanging on. Sainz gets it done round the outside of turn 2. Yuki having a look in turn 4, unable to do it. And now we just wait for DRS to come back round here. Pourchaire still yet to pit. Norris has overtaken Leclerc. He's now behind his teammate. We can see here DRS for Lando Norris. To the inside he goes. dummy to the outside, and up into P2 goes the V-Carb. Charles Leclerc now probably needs to try and overtake Porsche. He's going to want to pit in the next 2 laps or so. I think if he can go to lap 30, it's a very easy 2-stop, and that could put him on the favourable strategy here, unless the leaders around him end up going that far as well and doing 2 stops. As you have seen a wide variety of strategy calls this season, as now Colapinto just within the RS range of Oscar Piastri, who isn't far from points at all. He just needs 1 more place, and it looks like that 1 place will be Fernando Alonso, as Yuki is dropping off from Sainz. Porsche just out behind Hamilton. We could possibly see a move in the next few corners now. There's Porsche to the inside, unable to do it. But the V-Carb relentless, he's just looking in numerous locations. Russell now into the pits. I want to see what he's coming out on. He's got the hards ready. Is he going to go to the end? Looks like a slow stop though for the Ferrari. Out of the pits he comes. He is going to be with Théo Pourchaire. It's 3 wide. Pourchaire phases through him, and into P7 he goes, as he's also overtaken Hamilton. Pourchaire now pushing after Yuki Tsunoda to the inside. No, he will wait. Yuki is in danger though, as there's Pourchaire all over the back of the Mercedes. You can see that the V-Carb is so much quicker than the Silver Arrow here, to an extent that they can just overtake in absurd places like that. But then Pourchaire forced off the road. Pierre Gasly now, he's probably going to pit in a few laps time, but he's got Ricciardo and Verstappen catching. Verstappen to the outside. He's passed before even the corner has came to him. And now we just wait. Rodrigo says, I only want points, to be honest. I think everyone wants points, but McLaren, we're 10 races into the season, they've scored 1 point and 1 point only. That 1 point coming in Australia, which was your season opener about a week and a half ago. So that just shows how far off they really are, as Hamilton has got DRS on Yuki. Verstappen fastest lap of the race. Is it going to be another place lost for the Mercedes? As Oscar Piastri, if you haven't noticed, I said a few laps ago, he's going to be moving up into the points. He is in points, but he's under threat from Max Verstappen, who is blistering out there. He is your fastest man on the track. The top 3, however, 4 seconds apart, further 15 seconds ahead of Carlos Sainz. If Sainz can hold off Porsche and Russell long enough, then the leaders could possibly overcut, as Russell, another fastest lap there. Verstappen to the inside, unable to do so. Hamilton fighting Yuki though. He's got past a car, unlike his teammate has. As you can see here, Carlos Sainz, great drive so far. He's up into P4, however quite a few of the cars around him haven't pitted. Gasly can get points too, so yeah, it's a possibility, as Liam Lawson has retired from the session. Let's have a look. He just goes into his pit box. He's retired the car, and that is another opportunity missed for Liam Lawson. Russell, however, to the outside of Théo Pourchaire. Are they going to keep the fight going into turn 2? Yes, they will. Russell into P5. Is he going to even go for a lunge on Carlos Sainz? You see, he's gone to the inside, and he will. Round the outside, though. Sainz just better traction on the inside as they continue through the middle sector. Russell finally getting P4 all to himself now. But will Pourchaire follow soon after? I don't think so, as Sainz has held him off. Russell has now broke DRS on him, so it's going to be Sainz left to his equipment. To the inside goes Pourchaire. Up into P5 he goes, but Sainz slightly better traction until he goes off. and has to yield the pace. Yuki Tsunoda limping out of the pit lane now. As you can see, the Haas pit crew ready for Andrea Kimi Antonelli as Colapinto overtakes Oliver Behrman just ahead of Yuki. And now, a dynamic we have not seen a lot of this season. Alpine and Hajar. Daniel Ricciardo. He's so far ahead that he's done an extra stop. And only just behind him. Piastri into the pits now. The Red Bull trying to find a few more places through the undercut here. Of course, starting last. Did that Red Bull. Now Ricciardo, DRS on Hajar, to the inside he goes. Up into P16 for the Alpine. As I'm really struggling to find who to commentate here, we might as well watch Hamilton versus Alonso while it lasts. Alonso, DRS on Louis Sauber, gets a fairly good exit, now drags himself along, moves to the inside, Hamilton fends off. Hamilton and Alonso fighting like they were in 2021 here, just relentless, and as if they're both champions, which they are. Alonso still unable to get the move done. Hajar also in the pits now. He's going to come out last and in his own dreamland, which is a shame. Valtteri Bottas, however, Verstappen under threat by the Haas. Can the Haas work his way back up the field? Maybe. He started P2 here today. He's down in P9 due to strategies. And there we go. DRS on the Sauber to the inside. Unable to get the move done, however. As we can have a look at tyre percentages, Verstappen probably going to have to pit again in this race. As Leclerc bound to pit in a few laps, while Norris leads. Russell catching Leclerc. Could we see the Ferrari win from P8? If I'm right, it will probably be like his third win in a row. And that will probably mean, and what's it, the whole series, we just get bored to death by the likes of George Russell. As just for some context here, the finishing positions for Russell this season: 13th in Australia, 5th at Japan, 2nd in Chinese Sprint, then 6th in the main race, 2nd at Imola, 1st in Spain, 3rd in Monaco, 1st in Netherlands, 2nd in Austria, 1st at Britain. So yeah, if I'm right, he has got a podium every single race since San Marino, which is round 4. And now we are at round 10, which just shows how strong of a season this Ferrari has had, especially since round 4, being the most consistent driver out on the grid, more consistent than Lando Norris, as he has 3 wins, 2 seconds and 1 third, which is the same amount of podiums Norris has had, but Norris has had 2 wins and 4 seconds in this season. Then Leclerc 3 wins and 1 third. Looks like it could be just off the podium here in Hungary, as it looks fairly straightforward for the likes of Russell, Norris, Perez, as we have just hit lap 40 here. Perez with Hajar just behind him, who has been lapped, and Russell now pacing himself, as I personally think Charles Leclerc is in a really good position. I think he can go to the end on them hards if he drives it right. For those who may be looking at another stop, such as Terry Pourchaire, Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda, Colapinto, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Alonso, Bottas, Perez, nice. Russell. Could be a win coming for that Red Bull, which would be a good statement indeed to put out there regarding how he is third and he is dropping off from the Ferrari and Racing Bull at the top. But yeah, that's me done waffling about results here, and let's get our heads screwed back on for this race, as Hamilton has just moved up into P11. Sauber now in a position where he could threaten Oscar Piastri over P10 once more, as he is within the DRS range and still slightly gaining. Is there going to be a move, however, on the next lap? Possibly. Hamilton within 3 tenths going through that hairpin, within 4 going through that. DRS now in use. To the inside he goes. Piastri defends. Hamilton to the outside. Easy move, but fails. As this pack has really widened up here. Alonso dropping out from Verstappen. So yeah, your only on-track battle at the moment is Hamilton and Piastri. And maybe Ricciardo, Colapinto in a lap or two, as they are just flirting around a second here. Ricciardo not properly in an overtaking position, but who is Hamilton. He's about a tenth closer than last lap, and last lap he failed to. Down the inside this time, he again fails to. He needs about 2 tenths. Ricciardo to the inside of Colapinto. Can he get past? No. It will be Colapinto who hangs on to P13 here, being the one McLaren left in this race, as Hamilton now just waiting for a good opportunity. He looks further back than he was a lap ago. These 2 corners should dictate it, as yes, he is definitely further back. So yeah, unable to do another move. However, he looks to the inside. Piastri covers him off. Sainz has caught up to Fernando Alonso, which could be a really nice battle. The 2 Spaniards, who are currently in 7th and 12th in this championship, 61 points apart. So it does look fairly likely that they don't clash, as most of Alonso's points have came from podiums. 48 points of his 82 have been through podium finishes, showing really how unreliable that Aston Martin is with results. As Sainz up into P7, Oscar Piastri catching Alonso, who tries to fight back but doesn't, as Norris and Perez both into the pits. George Russell re-inhibits the race lead here, as we've got 24 laps. I'm assuming they're going on to mediums. Porsche also in the pits. As you can see, there's the mediums coming on for the V-Carb, and out he comes. It's going to be close between him and Sainz. Sainz has to go around the outside through turn 1. He hangs on and takes P6. The V-Carb of Porsche could be getting past Sainz in the next lap. However, he's on brand new tyres. Remember, he just pitted if you have that short-term memory loss. As to the inside he goes, unable to, but who was able to make a move is Piastri on Porsche. Sainz within DRS of Max Verstappen now. Yellow flag, out on track. It's for, I can't tell who actually, Yuki Tsunoda. He has crashed in turn 13. Let's have a look. He spins the car just like Oscar Piastri did and ends up in the wall. Looks like that's going to be his race over. But he's got back going. Alex Albon lock up in turn 12. And now Yuki, he's just limping around the circuit here. He is so far off the pace from Pierre Gasly. As let's actually have a look. He's got a puncture. No, it's not a puncture, it's just really severe wing damage, I think. No, it's coming from Dar. Yeah, you can see puncture for Yuki Tsunoda. But he crashed just in front of the pit lane. So surely he would have just pitted. But yeah, that's Mercedes points out the window. As I personally think that is terminal damage. You can look at his rear wing. He's missing half of it. Ricardo, mechanical fault, put up. Let's see if Yuki does just retire from this race though. Or does he go for a pit stop? He goes for a stop. But you can look at how much damage that rear wing of the Mercedes has. As, yeah, it's basically gone there. But, anyways, back to the race around him. As he is still dropping from Albon and Agile. That's how severe the damage is. Albon, he has DRS on the Alpine to the inside. Not able to make a move yet. As Albon has probably just been hit with mechanical fault, or it's the blue flags being waved. As Agile just let the V-car past of Lando Norris, who is on a hunt for George Russell here. You can see Russell, he's going to be pitting soon. Norris, he's going to the end, so is Leclerc and Perez. This is a really big result for Lando Norris, because Russell is going to come out in P4 if he was to pit here. And now. But yeah, P9, Andrea Kimi Antonelli still searching for his first point this season, as Alonso's just gone around the outside of him. Antonelli, however, into the pits. That means he won't be getting his first point this season or this race. But yeah, Sainz, he's dropped off from Alonso. He's really started to get himself into good places. Piastri and Hamilton due to pit again, so this is really a fight over 7th between Alonso, Sainz, probably Gasly and Verstappen here. Hamilton, I've just missed most of it, but he's gone around the outside of Oscar Piastri in turn 4, and that's him up into P7. George Russell now in the pits, didn't have to hold up Norris for too long. Who now is your race leader? Out of the pits comes Russell. He's on a set of mediums to go to the end here. He's almost certain to do so. However, those in chat, where will George Russell finish? I personally think he will be coming P2 now, because he's got quite a big margin to gain. 20 seconds, 17 laps. He'll have to be doing over a second a lap on A, his teammate, B, Leclerc, and C, his title rival Russell. No, not Russell's rivals Russell, I mean Norris. But yeah, Turbo Porsche, fastest lap, Piastri and Hamilton into the pits. Carlos Sainz just outside of DRS range of the Aston Martin. But no DRS for the Williams currently. Hamilton and Piastri, however, great placement on track. They're out with Pierre Gasly, who is just behind them. Will he hang on? But who needs to hang on for his sake at Aston Martin is Oliver Behrman on Ricciardo and Antonelli. Antonelli on brand spanking new tyres. He doesn't want that Haas to be working his way up the field, because Haas based off their quality, are slowly becoming threats to Aston Martin's championship. As Behrman into the pit, he lets him free. Antonelli now DRS on Daniel Ricciardo, 15 laps to go. Russell really chopping the lead down, as Perez, may I say, he's right up behind Charles Leclerc now. He's having a look at possibly challenging that Red Bull over second place. But if he can even push it higher up, he could very much overtake Lando Norris in the final outcome of this race. But even just finishing how it is, we'll see Perez overtake Thierry Pourchaire in the drivers. But DRS now on Leclerc, who got it on a lapped car, unfortunately. That lets him hang on for another lap here. As Russell, he's definitely hitting the thresholds he needs to do if he wants to catch Norris and take home the win here. But still, we have Sergio Perez versus Charles Leclerc here. Could be a battle which lasts the next 14-13 laps. And if it does, we are in for a treat. Leclerc fends to the inside. Perez round the outside, up into P2. No! Charles Leclerc hangs on, like the Red Bull driver he is. Which is quite funny to think about, because in 2024, Perez was actually Red Bull and Leclerc was actually a Ferrari. Just role reversal here, as the two fight for second, yeah. As we'll look at leader, just over next lap, we have 12 laps left of racing. How much does Russell gain on Norris this lap? He needs about 1.3. But we will tune away from that for now, as we see Alonso versus Hamilton. And then behind him, Sainz versus Verstappen and Piastri. Hamilton to the outside, he has passed the Williams. And then Verstappen trying to make a move on Sainz, as Russell, after a lap, he has not gained anything on Lando Norris. As this is now your main dynamic here today. As Norris just has to keep his head down and he'll get his third win of the season. And this win will probably lift him, I think it's 7 points clear of Russell in the standings. Maybe 8. But yeah, 10 laps to go here. The laps dropping quite quickly, as Russell really catching Leclerc and Perez, but not Norris. You can have a look at tyres. Leclerc, he is running the tyres right down to the final threads. So is Albon. They probably will need to pit again here. But for Leclerc, he would rather hang himself out to dry, risk a puncture. If he gets one, then that's his race out the window. If he doesn't, then it works. But into the pits goes Charles Leclerc. Where does he come out though? Looks like it will be behind Thierry Pourchaire, who will pick up P4. As this just really adds up a bit more for this championship, as Russell has quickly been let past Sergio Perez. As we've got about 9 laps and 12.4 for Russell to gain. You can look at tyre percentages. He will want to be completely wrecking them tyres over the final few laps if he does want to fight Lando Norris, which I think he wants to do. as Alonso. He's just leading this little train over P8 along now. He's got Sainz, Piastri and Verstappen all nicely tucked up behind him. As Sainz, DRS on the Aston Martin. Is he close enough though? Don't think so. And yeah, there's the Aston Martin hanging on to P8. But Sainz, he goes deep, lets Piastri and Verstappen both pass here. That is points for the Williams out the window in a championship so crucial now. As Bottas, he's scoring quite good points for Haas. Haas are probably going to pull themselves from 7 points ahead of Williams to a fair few more. Piastri now, can he move up into P8? Yes he will, round the outside, past before the corner. Easy picking for that Red Bull. And now Alonso's next car to defend against will be Max Verstappen. If the Sauber catches up, only if that happens. But Alonso currently sitting quite nicely behind Piastri. Not Fernando Alonso. Alex Albon picks up fastest lap here. For the final 6 laps, Russell now needs to be doing 2 seconds or more each lap if he wants to win here. I actually think it's now 2.5. So yeah, Norris should be taking championship lead back post-race. Leclerc, he's on a hunt for Sergio Perez. Laps are ticking away, but the gap is also dropping quite rapidly. I thoroughly think he will actually get Perez for the end, as there is some lapped cars between him and Perez, as that is Behrman and Ricciardo in the Aston Martin and the Alpine. I think Sainz has just pitted or something, because he's dropped further back, as there is Behrman trying to unlap himself from the Ferrari, which really is not good at all. As Perez has now officially been unlapped by Oliver Behrman. And because they're stuck in this, look who's right behind them now. Nice to see them join this party, as the Alpine has actually dropped off. Behrman, however, could be going for fastest lap as well. Perez down the inside. Behrman will probably want to just let Leclerc by, but instead chooses otherwise until the next corner. Now Leclerc 4 tenths between him and Sergio Perez. Will he make a move before DRS zone, or will he be knowledgeable and hang back? If he hangs back till DRS, he will probably have a better chance. That's what he's done. DRS. Now Charles Leclerc, can he move up into P3? To the inside he goes, up into the podium he makes it. As if I'm right, this will be the 2nd race in a row where the top 3 in the standings gets on the podium. As it happened in Britain, Russell however led to the line there. This time out it will be Lando Norris, and then it was Norris in Silverstone. This time out it will be George Russell, and then it will end off with Charles Leclerc, unless Sergio Perez can react. He's stayed very nicely behind. Can he move himself up into P3 on the final lap? To the inside he goes. He is past Charles Leclerc. But now Charles Leclerc, can he fight back? He is staying just as close as Sergio Perez was, but looks like the Ferrari has a tiny bit more pace on this final lap. as you can see here, Lando Norris wins in Hungary, his third race of the season. Perez, he has fended off Leclerc and even dropped him. Sergio Perez will be coming on P3 here. As Leclerc follows in 4th, Porsche 5th. Valtteri Bottas, good points for Haas, and a fairly mediocre weekend for the Sauber, who I don't know whether or not they are trying to gun for Red Bull in this championship. If they are, then they may need to up their game here. As there's your results.
Sometimes.
Lando Norris P1, George Russell P2, Sergio Perez in 3rd, Charles Leclerc 4th, Théo Pourchaire 5th, Valtteri Bottas in 6th, Lewis Hamilton 7th, Piastri 8th, Alonso 9th, Verstappen in 10th, Colapinto 11th, Sainz with fastest lap in 12th, Andrea Kimi Antonelli 13th, Pierre Gasly 14th, Oliver Behrman 15th, Daniel Ricciardo 16th, Albon 17th, Hadjar 18th, Yuki 19th, Liam Lawson, your 1 DNF here today. For those who have watched from the start or watched recently, hope you all enjoyed them, well, 70 odd laps of Hungarian. I have. But now, I will see you all in a matter of hours, I think even less than an hour's time, for the Italian GP. Goodbye.